Okay, hello Parity people, and welcome back to the Parity Podcast. This is Mertens Kirkwood. Oh, did I call it the Parity Podcast? Oh no, we're off to a bad start already. As you can see, I'm joined by our old friend Jeffrey Seaborn, host of the Parity Podcast, and hence my confusion.
There we go.
To be fair, we've done a lot more podcasts than we've done live streams, but very exciting. We're also joined by Parity GM and player Julia Riddick. Julia, welcome to the live stream.
Thank you so much for having me.
Very happy to have you both here. We're expanding our operations as a live stream. And I should also thank Okiwa, who shared details about the stream on the Facebook page. So we may even have some non-parody viewers tonight to add to our dozen of fans.
They don't know what they're in for.
Well, so maybe you should tell us what they're in for, Jeffrey. What makes Parity special? To someone who's maybe played Ultimate in Okiwa or elsewhere, or played in even any other sports league, why is Parity so special?
This is something that I talk about at length with anyone who will listen. Parity is the best league I have played in indoors because so many people move around from team to team, and the level of banter that results in all this shifting around makes for the best sidelines in the league. I assert that I hate indoor Ultimate, which is 100% true, but I love Parity so much because the type of person that comes to play, that wants to chirp, go out and have fun, it just makes it the best for me.
Awesome. And Julia, now you're not a Parity rookie. You know, you've been around for a couple of years, but you haven't been around forever like some of us. So for those of us who don't know you as well, how did you get into Ultimate, and then more importantly, how did you get into Parity?
Yes, how I got into Ultimate is fun. It's a family sport. My dad is a bit of a character, and he thinks that he actually invented Ultimate Frisbee a long time ago. He did not. And then for Parity, actually, I had been playing a lot in the summer and the fall, and I had been playing on a team with our tireless director, CC, the executive director of Ottawa, and he encouraged me to sign up for Parity. So that was 2 years ago, and it's been a lot of fun. Sure.
Awesome. Well, we've got an exciting stream tonight. So for those who have watched for the last few weeks, kind of how this works. We've built this cool Parity simulator, and I should say that I did get some questions after last time about so where did you find this? How did you make it work for Parity? Well, we actually built it from scratch using the data we kind of had lying around from past Parity games. I did have someone ask, does game time matter in the algorithm? And the answer is no. We just kind of talk about the game times for fun. Now I should mention I did make two very minor changes since last week to the algorithm. One is I made the time between goals a little bit shorter in the algorithm because I found that the average scores actually were slightly too low in our games. And I also turned down. Yeah, so we should hopefully see more goals tonight. And we also, I turned down that global inequality multiplier, which is that fun variable I talked about a couple of weeks ago, because we were finding it wasn't necessarily the problem at the top end, but actually bottom end players weren't touching the disc enough. So I'm hoping with this little tweak, we'll clean that up a little bit. So those are
as long as it results in Bo getting more assists.
Well,
there's more goals being scored, therefore. I guess Bo-Zerkers want assists.
The Bo-Zerkers, yeah. So I coined that in the forum. So if you call yourself a Bo fan, maybe you're a Bo-Zerker. I don't know. If you are, throw it in the comments. We encourage lots of participation as much as possible during the stream. So feel free to use that YouTube comment section, and we'll keep an eye on it and respond to you during the stream. So why don't we pop over to our trade report. So this was not a cap week, which means GMs were not obligated to make trades, but we did see some. We've got a handful on the screen. Of course, the biggest one here is basically the Hogel for Alicia trade with a couple other players thrown in for balance. Now, Julia, you orchestrated this trade. What was your thinking, giving up potentially the number one overall woman in the league?
I know. It was definitely heartbreaking to make this trade, but I was told by a very trusted source that Matt Hogel is a lefty, and I felt that it was very worth my while to try to get all of the lefties in the league onto my team as much as I possibly could. So definitely devastated to say goodbye to Alicia, but excited to see, to welcome Matt into the lefty team.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with Matt Hogel. He's had a great season, but we'll see how it pans out. The simulator is potentially a different beast entirely. And then the other trade we saw was Corinne Dunwoody for Christy Ellis, so two high-end ladies getting traded there. So we'll see what impact that has as we move forward. So let's look at our schedule for the night. We've got 5 games, as we always do. Again, 3 virtual late slots. And to reiterate, the timing does not affect the simulator in any way, but it's fun to think about. And I don't know, at a glance here, Jefford, are any games that stand out to you?
Well, I mean, we want to see if Morgan and Sul can continue on their hot streaks that carried from regular play into simulated play. You might be looking for some redemption after a loss last week. Yeah, I see your team is playing in the Team 1 biased column. Therefore, that should look good for you. And Julie and I probably hoping to overcome that bias in the late game and getting a win for Team 2.
Yeah, and we should maybe address that head on. We had allegations of Team 1 bias because through the first 2 weeks of simulations, our home team has won the majority of the games, including all 5 last week, which is, it's
suspicious.
Everyone considers it suspicious. I assert that it is indeed random, but maybe we'll hopefully get an away team win. And I should mention off the top that we have a few more links here that we've set up. So these are available in the description of this video, and I'll start with the Parity stat leaders. So this isn't super fancy, but it's lets you see, kind of modeled on the Parity app leaderboard in 9 categories, who those top 10 players are. I know a lot of people are excited about hashtag BowWatch. Well, he's 10 assists down on Brian Perry, but he isn't second in the assist leaderboard. Alex Tremblay is leading the goal leaderboard. So we'll see. Matt Hogel, look at that, 233 completions already. So he's way out in front in that category. I'm not sure if that's going to change how Team Julia plays, but feel free to check that out. Again, that link's at the top of your screen and is also going to be in the video description. And if we pop over to the standings, which we've also got available online now, again, you can check out that link and it'll show you the latest standings as well as the playoff bracket as it develops. So as we head into tonight, we've got Sully and Morgan both on a 6-1 record, so been very strong this season. And then at the bottom end, we've got my team, Love Aggietually, Marianne's team. 2 wins, so could be worse for a last place team, but definitely some ground to make up, hopefully before playoffs start. So that's the lay of the land as we head into the night of games. So if we're ready, I mean, we can have a look at our first game of the night. Why don't we do that?
Let's get right into it.
Get right into it. So our first game here is all the single Bladies, and JT got us Fallen in Love. So that's Team Al and Team Morgan. And this is a bit of a new layout. If you watched last week, we've now got a bit of a pre-game page here so you can see the whole roster. And what's happening in the background, you can see those numbers updating, is we're just running our kind of prediction simulations to see if these 2 teams played each other 20 times, who wins the most often. And this is not it's not a binding thing. As you can see, we had a pretty even split. Morgan won 10 of those 20 simulations, but looks like these teams are fairly evenly matched. Is that also what you think, Julia, looking at this roster?
Yeah, definitely looks like an even matchup between at least the first couple of people that I've looked at here. Yeah.
And Jefford, who's you gonna call a difference maker this early on?
Ooh, I don't know. It's always best to wait and see and then make post predictions. They're often more accurate. But what I find very interesting is that Al's team, sitting fairly low in the standings, I think second to last, while Morgan is tied for first. And it's very impressive that the parity in the league, that we can see that one of the top teams, one of the bottom teams, and they've got such an evenly simulated record.
Yeah, and we should note, you'll see at the bottom left there an NA spot for Team Al. So that's a blank. We don't have a fancier name for the blank right now. And that's because Jamie Wilgen, who is in the league, didn't actually play any of the first 5 weeks. So we have no data to use, so he's become a blank for the purposes of these simulations.
Oh, well, that maybe saves some people from the wrath of the Crippler.
Rough nickname. So I think without any further ado, we should hop into our first official simulation of the night. So here we go.
Right.
And we're off. So I should mention there's just another minor visual update. We've got colors now highlighting goals between the blue and the red team, and we've added a little yellow flash on the throwaways so we can have a sense of when play starts getting sloppy. But it's 7 p.m. game, and it looks like it so far. Both teams been pretty efficient as we get out to a 4-4 game. And Alicia Zhao already throwing assists, so that new addition on Team Morgan making a difference. I mean, if you're Al, who do you match up with on Alicia in this game?
Well, I mean, you got, Katie Cav's going to play her smart for sure, and Justine Dagenet would be my choice, although they don't seem to be matched up on the field right now, but Justine works and works and works.
Justine, I think, is a strong candidate, also one of these premier players in the league at the top end. Now, it's been a very even game, which is kind of what we predicted early on. I'm seeing Paul Klippenstein having a really great game so far, very involved in the play. Oh, there's Alicia getting on the scoreboard.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. He's a Parity rookie and has made a great impact so far. And some quick goals there for Morgan, a couple breaks. And it looks like, there we go. Now we're into the second half.
Super close.
It is super close game. Yeah, going back and forth here. You wonder who's going to break it open. Both teams have led, actually, and that's been kind of unusual in our simulations. Often it's one team shoots out to a big lead, or even a small lead, and then just kind of maintains that gap. But look at this, tied again as we get to the hour mark. Al taking the lead now. So this is really coming down to the wire. This is exciting. And now Morgan with the lead. Christy Ellis gets the goal there. Also a new addition. Mike Lee doing what he can, but Lance has a turnover and Kate Cav scores to take the lead. So now Al's team is up a break here. So Morgan's going to have to get a break as we get to about 9 minutes to go. But Al's team scores the break. So that might be the decider. With just 6 minutes left in this game, but they're trading points. And Christo turns the disc over, but Christy turns it back, and now it's again a 1-goal game. But that might be the dagger, Paul Klippenstein, who we talked about. And that's the game. So our official score in our first game of the night is 22-20 for Team Al over Team Morgan. So why don't we pop over to our stars of the game. And as we can see, Mike Lee doing what he does, just getting involved in every part of the game. 4 goals, 4 assists. Morgan had a great game in the loss, but doing his best to lead by example. 4 goals, 3 assists, 3 Ds. But Julie, I don't know if this stings. Look at this. Alicia Zhao playing great with the 3rd star. 3 goals, 2 assists, 33 touches, and no turns. So that's some really impactful and efficient offense. What do you make of her performance in this game?
Yeah, definitely looks like they were making really good use of Alicia. Her name was coming up there, with all of her goals and her assists. So, definitely why it's heartbreaking to have to trade Alicia away.
Well, when you've got a themed team, sometimes you have to make sacrifices. And Jefford, our breakout player of the game is Kate Cav.
One of my favorites. We've played together on and off over the last 15 years, not to age ourselves, but 4 goals, 3 seconds at D block, 20 touches, over 100K of salary. Great game, Katie Cav.
Okay. So that's again a first official game in the books. So we're gonna pop back over it now. Have we had? And it doesn't look like we've had a lot of comments yet. What are we
Kenzie's
hearing?
asking about instant regret about trading Alicia, I presume, but I mean, it's not like she turned that game, so we'll see how it goes.
Well,
Early yet.
You never know. It
True.
could be that Team 1 bias.
Well,
It's not Alicia's fault.
No, maybe not. Not even a player as good as Alicia, not quite strong enough to overcome the Team 1 bias.
Yeah, well, it's we're off to a bit of a bad start in that regard. So as you can see now on our official scoreboard, we do have the win for the home team here, 22-20. So as the person responsible for the simulator, I'm starting to get a little antsy, and now I really like the away team to pull out a win here. To be clear, when we run those predictions and you see that both teams win games, it's the same algorithm. It's just so happened that all of the official games have gone in one direction.
Methinks thou dost protest too much.
Well, I'm getting nervous, that's for sure. Well, let's go into our next game then, and I guess this is a win-win for me because it's now looking at Team MAnge against Team Mehmet. So either I pull out the win or Team 2 gets a win here. So I'll take either of those outcomes. We've had a difficult season in that our team has not had a great record, but we've never really been blown out. We've been competitive in all our games. Now the new edition of Kindha is interesting. I don't know. What's your take on MAnge trading away Christialis for Kindha?
I'll defer to the GM Julia on this one.
I'm not too familiar with Christy Ellis, again, being a bit new to Parity, but definitely I can totally see why MAnge would want to pick up Corinne. She's a fantastic player. She's got great team spirit. I've had to match up with her a few times, unfortunately, for me. So definitely a great asset to the team by MA.
Yeah, and on the other side, it looks like on our quick little preview sim that Team Mehmet has the advantage going into this one. Although I look at this lineup of guys here, and I just wonder, is there, as I believe it was Paul Morrison making the comment in the Slack, like there's not enough disc to go around when you've got Corey Mehmet, Nick Terrio, Patrick Mapp, Simon Walker, and Pimo himself. I mean, these are guys that like to touch the disc a lot, so I'm anticipating a lot of possessions in this game. I don't know if we're necessarily going to see a lot of goals.
Well, I think you've overlooked the biggest disc hog on that team. The one who wants it more than anybody, Heather Wallace.
Oh, and
like
you're right, I shouldn't sell Heather Wallace short. There's going to be a lot
cut
of
the disc in 6.
Yeah, a lot to demand for the disc.
Can all be happy.
Let's see how it pans out then, shall we? Off we go with our second official simulation of the night, and it's a break to start. John Suyak getting on the scoreboard.
Right off the bat, you're feeling much better, aren't you, Adrian?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think I had the turnover, so that does make me feel a bit better. But it's been some sloppy play early, and there's our new addition, Corinne, with a throwaway, and another break. This time it's Heather Wallace with the goal. So we didn't talk much about the other changes that teams made earlier, but Justine Price, a new addition on Team MAnge, making an impact, I see. And things may be starting to settle down.
Justine
here.
Makes an impact on any team she plays for.
Well, of course, she's one of, if not the all-time Parity assist leader. She might be in second because Al Colantonio has a way of being on top of every scoreboard and when he's played in every single Parity game ever. And this game seems to be narrowing a little bit. Now just a 2-goal gap, and now just a 1-goal gap. So perhaps our team has found their feet as we hit the half-hour mark. And now it's Nick Terrio with a turn, as he so often does, but the disc comes back.
A long point.
I should mention that both Nick Terrio and myself are in, I believe, the top 5 for throwaways so far this season. And look at this. The game has come around, so now it's tied 9-9 at half. So this has ended up being a much closer game than perhaps we expected, based out of coming out of the gate here. But Team Mehmet with a couple breaks again, and it's a 2-goal game now. So I don't know, Julie, as the GM, what do you tell your team here when it's tight like this? Do you keep trying to do what's working, or do you mix it up to try and turn the tide?
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully at this point, it's clear what's working and what's not working to the team, and maybe they're able to tweak like 1 or 2 things to give themselves the edge over their competition.
Yeah, so we'll see here. And again, it's really close now, and quite low scoring, in fact, as we maybe anticipated. But look at this, the home team with the late resurgence. To just feed every conspiracy theory out there. But it's still
go
one
red.
goal
Let's
game
go red.
In a very low scoring game with 6 minutes left. But look, some untimely turnovers, and Corey Boucher with another one there. So it looks like Team MAnge is gonna pull off the comeback and pulls off the 18-16 win here. So I must say I'm pleased with the win as a player on this team, but as a coordinator, I have my concerns. I'm a little worried about the pitchforks. Let's pop over to our...
They're coming. I love this last sequence, though. Corinne to Hadrian, to Corinne to Hadrian, who threw it away.
Yeah. I've
Thanks for that.
definitely been a turnover machine this season. So let's have a look at our stars. And Corey, look at this. Corey Boucher, 5 goals, 4 assists, 3 Ds. That's a fantastic line. For Team MAnge, Matt Landry doing a great job there with 4 goals. And Heather Wallace, we talked about early on, 2 goals, 4 assists, so she had a great game as well. But our breakout player, Jefford, is GM MAnge.
As ever, I enjoy the way she plays the game. She always has a smile on her face, and I think even in this tight game, probably just keeping her cool, keeping you guys motivated and calm in the first little bit where it looked like you were trailing, pitches in the goal and assist. Gets a D, very efficient. Nice game, Maj.
And now Julia, of course, MAnge, she smiles on the field. She has a reputation for being quite a nice person, but you've seen her behind closed doors as a GM. Any dirt on how she negotiates?
No, she's just like she is on the field. She's absolutely wonderful in her negotiations, and she's very fair.
I've seen it as a coordinator, and I know that to be the case. So we're just gonna set up our next game here. Have we had any more people popping in to the comments?
It's been fairly quiet in the comment section. Looking at it now, but also it seems that in the way that live things happen and get transmitted through the internet, I'm looking at the tail end of the last game, so a lot may have changed in the comments by the time we get through the next one.
Yeah, we do seem to be having some technical delays for one reason or another that I'm not totally sure about. But I think we're gonna press onward. And in a worst case scenario, this video just ends up as a video, and we'll have to say as a video that people can watch.
No, as I've always said, Hadrian, we've talked a number of times doing the podcast. If all of this breaks and nothing comes of it, it's been a couple of friends talking about Frisbae for a while, and really that's not so bad.
No, it's true. It's always nice to get a chance to just chat about Ultimate. So we've got our scoreboard back up, and those blue bars look worse every time. And now we come into...
At least you made it convincing.
Yeah.
At the start.
Well, and now we come into a game again I'm nervous about, because we've seen Sully's prowess. Not only is his team 6-1, but 2 blowout wins in a row. Although coming up against a very strong Team Laura. And why don't we hop over to the pre-game and check out these rosters. If you're Laura here, how do you match up against this team? Who do you put on their receivers?
Oh boy, that's tough. I mean, it's got to be, you got to, Laura's got to post up Martin in the end zone, on offense and defense. Pirate's going to get in there, get some Ds. the Charlotte muscles is going to, work and get some on both sides of the ball, I think. I'm not sure. I would love to watch this game, even though the prediction says it's going to go not too far. But
yeah,
we'll see.
The prediction does give Sully a pretty strong edge here. But when I look at these rosters and I look at some of the kind of statistics behind these games, it does look to me like maybe Sully's the strongest team in the league, but Laura's probably number 2. So we're gonna hop into the real thing and see how it goes. And look at that, an early turnover from Team Sully, and it looks like it was 2 turns. So it is Team Laura with the hold. But there's the break. So and another one. So Team Laura out to an early lead.
Wow.
Julia, when your team gets out to a lead like that, do you comment on it, or do you try not to say anything, because then exactly this situation can happen, and
it just
looks like that the
evaporates.
game turns right around?
Yeah, I think definitely riding on the positive vibes. I definitely love my team to feel, build on the momentum that they have going for them. But again, always keeping things within reason,
Yeah, it can be an emotional game, certainly, and ultimate, that is, and a game of runs. And we do often see that in Parity, actually. Parity, probably more so than in a competitive ultimate game, that teams score in bunches. So it's important to kind of not let yourself, I guess, get too emotional on the field.
Agreed, and especially in this game where we've seen both teams go on several point runs. Laura went out early, Cell brought it back to tie, took a lead, Laura brought it back to tie it up, and now Cell's got a 4-point lead. So this is going to go back and forth. Hopefully that continues. Hopefully see more points in the red column for your sake, Adrian.
Yeah, well, there's a turnover and a break to end the half at 14-12. So actually quite a close game. But Team Laura still has some work to do. Now, one thing I'm definitely noticing, although again this game is narrowing, is that, and look at that, a break to tie the game. So this is exciting. But Team Sully is incredibly efficient. So when I run simulations, they average kind of 120, 130 completions a game, and the league average is 150s or 160s. So Team Sully is very, very efficient with the disc, and that's partly how he's built it on purpose. But as we hit to the hour mark, they've fallen behind. I maybe spoke too soon. It's now a tie game, 18-18. And an important block there for Colin Scarf, but Alan Godding gets the disc back, and Team Laura holds. So Team Laura is on serve here with 15 minutes to go. Teams trading points. And Mike O'Hare with a bad turn, and it's Alex Tremblay with the goal to take the lead, and now Laura with the turn. Oh no! And they had
got it back.
Got it back for the hold. And another one. Travis gets the D. And look at that. That's the goal. With 2 minutes to go, and another break. Martin and John Rowe, and there we have it. Wow.
Team 2.
This was perhaps our most exciting simulated game yet. Team Laura out to an early lead, falls behind, is down 14-12 at half. And then we end up in a tight tie game situation late. Laura gives up a break, but gets it back. Look at that. So 24-23. That was a high-scoring, high-flying game. Well, I'm excited to find out who our stars are. And look at this. Kelsey Cherry for Team Laura.
Wow.
6 goals, 2 assists, 5 second assists. So he was just doing everything on offense. Colin Scarf doing his best to be Colin Scarf. Look at this, 5 goals and 4 assists on 19 touches. That's just how he plays the game. When he gets the disc, he's either in the end zone or looking to throw it there. And Rachel Hurdle putting in a great performance as well. 5 points with 3 second assists and no turns, so very responsible. And look at this, Sarah Thompson, our breakout player of the game.
Yeah, former teammate of mine. I'm very excited to see she's got a goal and 2 second assists. I mean, on 5 touches, she's still not getting as involved as I'd like. We'd always try to make more room for her, but hopefully, a nice tidy performance like this will help build her virtual confidence and get her some more touches in the next game.
Yeah, absolutely. I played with Sarah earlier in the season, and she's an underappreciated cutter. It's nice to have her on the field. Julia, you strike me as the kind of defender who has to match up against Rachel Hurdle. What's that like?
Oh my goodness, Rachel Hurdle is so fast. And she's gotten a fair number of run-through Ds on me. So yeah, I can see this great game from Rachel Hurdle, and I'm surprised that there's no D blocks from her. So
Yeah,
Well,
that's
I
She
true.
had
think
some
people
really
may
good
have
matchups.
learned. People may have learned not to throw it near her. Just like Mark Donahue doesn't get
Yeah.
deep blocks anymore because there's no one throws it anywhere near him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now's a good chance for us to check in with our fans. Are we hearing anything?
Allie Ward with a Julia, which yes, and Al's. Yeah, Al's asking me technical questions on the Slack, and so I don't feel like troubleshooting his virtual machine.
Technical questions,
He-
as in
I know.
the video might not be working for some people.
No, he's talking about something else entirely.
Oh, I see. I mean, because that would be unfortunate, but it does seem like we have, at least there's, the fact that at least a few people have said some stuff leads me to believe that the stream is actually working, is actually live. Why don't we hop back over to our schedule and just pull that up. And I must say, this is a very welcome red bar for a couple reasons. One, we need a Team 2 to win a game, so this is nice. But also, I think coming into this, everyone would have said Sully is a heavy favorite, and it certainly looked that way when we ran the predictions, but a really gutsy performance from Team Laura to pull out the win.
Yeah, I would say both top teams came in a little overconfident into this week's virtual games, and both of them lost.
Well, and the problem here, as your coordinator, is Team Sully is quite strong, and if they hadn't have hit Laura, probably would have blown a team out, had to trade some of their top-end talent. And they're going to lose, and they're going to be under cap, I think, this week. So we're going to probably see a very similar Sully roster heading into playoffs next week. But
wow.
that's the nature of parity. Sometimes you get lucky or unlucky with those matchups. So just keeping an eye on the time. We're going to try and keep this all under an hour. So we should hop into our next game. And it's between Ratioxoxo and How to Lose a Disc in 10 Stalls. Julia, who do you take a glance at these rosters. Who do you think is going to maybe take over this game?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I see a lot of great players from both teams. A lot of people that I actually had on my original team before I drafted for a lot of lefties. So, yeah, definitely seeing a lot of great players from both sides, and they're going to have to watch out. Like, Alyssa Mainwood is absolutely fantastic, but so KDA is super fast too. So, a lot of great players on both sides.
Yeah, it's a lot of talent, and based on our little quick 20-game prediction, it looks a totally even split. So I think these teams are probably pretty evenly matched. Brian Perry, of course, a mainstay in the league and current assist leader. So we're gonna have to see how he stacks up. Although perhaps I should just quickly check, because I know people are interested. Bo only had 3 assists in that last game.
Disappointing.
Yeah, disappointing for
The Bo
Bo.
watch.
4 second assists, so he was quite involved in the play, but you don't win the leaderboard with just getting 3 assists tonight. So we'll see if Brian can take a more commanding lead. And on that note, let's hop into our simulation. And off we go. So earlier in the season, we had a Jesse Robinson and Martin Cloak duo that was quite impactful, but then there were some trades made. So when you look at this Team Kindha, Jefford, who's the primary target for Jesse Robinson? Because you know the way she likes to play.
Oh, it's the relationship pass. She's throwing it at Jim all night long.
Yeah.
It's not. There's no. Although I think they're playing on opposite lines. I mean, maybe that was perhaps that was a ploy by Kindha to keep Jesse's eyes looking at more targets on the field than just her husband. But now I see they're on the field together, and we'll see what happens. Unfortunately, a turnover. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out.
Well, it's a good. I should mention, so in case people are interested, the way the lines work is when the simulation starts, it randomly generates 5 different lines, and then it just takes the opposite players to generate the 5 other lines. That way you're alternating, but the lines themselves switch up every 2 points. So over the course of a game, everyone plays the same number of points, and they may or may not play on the same line that often. So that's just a little bit of technical background.
That might be a little bit of technical stuff that Sel will look at in order to game the system a little bit more now that he knows. Because in regular parity, if you show up with your full roster, it's more often than not you'll have like the same 6 will play together for a half. and then maybe you'll switch it up at halftime. But these lines are certainly more variable.
That's right, and you know that there's advantages and disadvantages to that from a simulation perspective, whether it's more authentic. But anyway, we're getting a little bit away from this game, which has actually been very close, and I believe it was only a 1-goal game at half. Kindha had a much bigger lead earlier, but Team Brian has brought it back to just 1 goal. Although Kindha, because they're on serve, Brian's going to need 2 breaks. 2 breaks to tie this thing. But look at that. There's the break we need. At least one of them. Brian still needs another break, and there's 15 minutes to go. Who's going to get that D? Because they need it. Marcus with throwaway, but then Greg Ellis with an uncharacteristic throwaway.
Uncharacteristic throwaway, yeah.
Stays tied, and there's back-to-back turns. Jesse Robinson hanging on to it, which is important. But Jim with the turn. Oh, no. So we talked about Jim Robinson earlier. But that Jim Robinson turnover might be the game decider here, because now Team Brian is on serve. It's either going to be a tie or win for Brian. But it's a win. So look at that. Late turnover by Jim Robinson costs his team the game. And the game ends exciting. Brian Perry with the throw to Marcus Bordage for the goal. You're not going to find many more enticing receivers in the league than Marcus when he's striking deep. So let's pop over to our stars here, and sure enough, Brian Perry. I mean, that's the game we come to expect from him, with 9 assists, 40 touches. That's Brian leading by example. Greg Ellis doing his best in the loss with 3 goals and 5 assists. A great line there. And Jesse Robinson, a fantastic game. Not just the 3 goals and 2 assists, as she so often does, but 3 Ds. So she was really making things happen. But in the end, it was a Team Brian win. Now look at this. Kate Actel is our breakout player of the game, Jeffrey.
Yeah, well, I mean, as Julia pointed out, lightning fast, found the end zone 4 times. I mean, I assume that assist was because someone threw it short and she had to come back for it. It would have been 5 goals otherwise. 3-second assists. No throwaways, which is what I would expect from Katie. And 3 of 9 on break attempts. Not the worst, but maybe could improve.
Yeah, and you're not seeing it on your screen, but both teams were actually very efficient on offense. There were only a half dozen breaks apiece. So this was not a story of the defenders. It was a story about effective offense, and hence the high score. So we've got one more game to go. I'll get that loaded up. But have we heard anything from our beloved fan base?
Well, I mean, if we need to chirp Al some more, he clicked on the wrong link and didn't realize we were on, so he's catching up at 1.5 speed now. So I imagine we sound like the chipmunks, which would be pretty awful. I think Adam McDonald's sad about a loss, but happy that we're talking about the Jimquisition that came up a few 2 or 3 seasons ago in the Parity League Fantasy League. That was a lot of fun for some people, but hopefully he's redeemed himself.
Yeah, well, you hope, but no. Jim's a great guy and a great part of this league, so that's why I feel okay making fun of him now and again. As we come back to our schedule, we can see that maybe this will put to bed allegations of a Team 1 bias. Our away team in 2, frankly, nail biters, probably the 2 most exciting games we've simulated. The away team came out with the win. Which brings us to our final game, and perhaps the one we should be most excited about, because Julia, you're going to see your team play in real time. How does that make you feel?
Nervous that you'll all see my nervous facial expressions.
Yeah. Well, why don't we have a look at our pregame here? So that's gonna just run in the background while we pull up our rosters. And this is, this is exciting. We should note that Team Nat only has the 3 ladies because of a blank, an injury earlier in the season. And frankly, those are 3 very effective ladies to be having an extra rotation. Who do you look for as matchups here, Julia, against especially Jose on?
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad that we're going to have extra legs to rest up and cover Jose. She's super fast and she's so great with the disc. So I'm probably going to redirect Hannah and Mel Jess over there to cover Jose. So yeah, should be a really good. Well, not according to the simulation for us, but it'll be exciting. And,
Yeah. It looks the 3 ties make me think that these teams are actually quite evenly matched. Gives Julia the win slightly more than 50% of the time in our very small sample. But I see, let's give it a shot. Team Lefties against the Team Nat. I guess I don't have a nickname for that team, but why don't we get that game going? And here we go. So off we go, and John Haig has an early throwaway, one of your new lefty additions, I believe. So
unbelievable.
And another throwaway.
Again, Johnny.
So John Haig with 2 turns
probably a hammer
early in the game,
a goal.
but he does score a goal, so the disc comes back, and again some even games here. So compared to last week where we had some blowouts, all the games so far tonight have actually been quite close, despite perhaps some unbalanced predictions. So again, trading points early. There's Jefford Seaborn with the goal. So
my natural habitat, the end zone.
Well, so we know we've been making those jokes, Jefford, because you've been simulating as a cutter. But the stats we have to work with, I was looking at them, and you actually had quite a few goals in the first several weeks of this season, and that's being, I guess, repeated now. The algorithm has identified you as someone who goes to the end zone.
I got a goal and an assist so far, so yay me.
Yeah.
And we have a 2-point lead.
Yep, and now
another assist to Julia. Yeah.
Look at that. That's the simulation to live stream connection. So good work to you both. I guess I have to get on Team Nat here to balance things out. So maybe we can get something going. But Hugh Podmore with the throwaway. We've talked about Hugh being a
changed man.
A changed
as you pointed
man.
out, yeah.
Yes. And look at this. So despite that 3-goal lead, Nat has clawed back, pardon me, to a tie game, and it's still tied. So Julia, what do you tell your team here when the game is this close?
Yeah, definitely just keeping our attitudes positive, and hopefully we'll see some classic lefty hammers come out and get some extra points in the end zone.
Well, there's John Haig to Jefford Seaborn with what I can only imagine was a lefty hammer. And now Julie is up a break. So as we get to the hour mark, this is a really tight game, relatively low scoring. But a break for Team Nat. And another throwaway. No. So Jose with a big break goal there, and Mikey Davidson throwing another break. So after Julia gives her pep talk, the wheels start to fall off, and another break for Nat. Wow, it's just one after another. Oh no, we're seeing this happen in real time. Stop the bleeding. Yeah, that's right. Well, there's a break there for Seaborn to McCardle. But now is it too big a gap with only 4 minutes to play, and it's another break. Michael Davidson is having a fantastic game here. Throws another goal.
There's me throwing it away.
Oh my goodness, and that is a 6-goal deficit to end. Well, I'm sorry to my 2 guests for this simulation, but that's how it played out. A very close game through the first 2/3, and then things really just fell apart.
Well, I mean, it's a late game, right? Like, we're all, tired. Certainly, like, I know I've watched all the games tonight. I'm exhausted. Like, by the time we hit 3/4 of the way through the late game, like, I'm ready to go to bed.
Yeah. Well, let's pop over to our stars. And look at that, Tom Newman. So we didn't talk about him during the stream, but 4 goals, 4 Ds, and no turns. So a big game from Tom. But Hannah Lewis for Julia. What a great pickup. 5 goals, 5 assists. That's a fantastic night. And in fact, 5 of 10 on break opportunities. So the 50% defensive conversion is a very good rate. So that's a great matchup. That being said, she's probably matched up against Jose, and she put in a great game as well. 4 goals, 3 assists, and no turns. So some great performances there. And Parity rookie Jay Limer is our breakout player of the game, Jefford.
Another former teammate. He's a fun guy to play with. He works hard. He's coachable. He tries to do the things you ask him to do. 2 goals, 2 assists, 2 seconds, a D block, and again 50% on break opportunities. So well done, Jay.
Yeah, nicely done. And that's our last game of the night. Are there any kind of final comments we saw in the chat?
Does the algorithm account for playoff, John? I don't know. Apparently not.
The algorithm definitely does not account for any different conditions, to be clear. And I've been thinking about that too, because you do see some games where players skew one way or the other. So they just like have just like a ton of throwaways and no completions, or maybe they just like scoring every time. And the thing is, what happens in a real game is teams make adjustments, right? So if a player is scoring over and over again, maybe you back them or double team them or something. If a player is getting a lot of throwaways, maybe they start throwing more conservatively. And the algorithm doesn't do that. Every single event is starting at ground zero. So we don't have that added layer of sophistication yet to see teams make adjustments.
Well, certainly as a former team captain, this sort of level of consistency is something that you would definitely hope to have. You always tell your team, no matter what, you go out and you play like it's 0-0. And this is literally every event is a brand new event. I still think that you should dial up the random as the later the games go, because I think that would be, perhaps more indicative of how play actually goes. But it looks, certainly by the last game, it looks like that is already taking place.
Starting to get there, perhaps. So why don't we throw it back to our final scores here on the night. So these are our final official tallies for week 8. So that's today, for March 30th, not when we're recording. So again, that's Team Al with the close win, MAnge with a close win, and then Laura and Brian with 2 very exciting late wins in their slots. And then unfortunately for my guests, Team Julia gets knocked off by Nat late in the game there. But there you go. Those are all of our official scores. So we'll have those up in the standings shortly. And then actually, I just noticed that our 2 leading teams, both Team Morgan and Team Sully, lost tonight. So it's actually going to be quite even in the standings as we head into playoffs, which I'll remind you start next week. And
so
soon, yeah. And this is not the updated standings. So one more thing to figure out how to do in real time, but you can see that bracket, and it's an interesting bracket because there's 10 teams. We've talked about it. Maybe we'll talk more about this next time, but everyone has a chance, even if you don't finish in the top 8 in the standings. So we'll do a little bit of a playoff preview next time we're on the stream. I should mention that Okiwa, the official people behind Okiwa, have asked that we do these streams on the Okiwa channel moving forward. So next time you see us, it's not going to be on my personal YouTube channel, but will be public to the whole YouTube and Okiwa community, which should be exciting.
Can I still drink beer?
Good question. We're going to have to check that with our lawyers, but I suspect that it's probably okay if you if you drink a beer, Jeffrey.
Hooray!
Yeah. So as we just wind down, I want to say thanks again to Julia and to Jefford. Julia, is there anything you're going to take away from this experience? Maybe bring back to your team as you head into playoffs?
Yeah, well, hopefully, silver lining. Maybe we'll be under cap, so we won't have to make any changes to the team. Maybe we'll be able to work something out there, and hopefully we'll be able to strategize and come back into playoffs stronger than ever. So
definitely. Okay, well, we'll stay posted for that. I should to reiterate, this is the final cap compliance week, so your GMs will be busy this weekend making their final trades, fine-tuning their rosters before we get into playoffs, which I think we're all very excited about. So thanks again, Julia. Thanks again, Jefford, for joining us, and thanks everyone who was able to watch the stream either live or on tape. And we look forward to seeing you again. Thanks very much.
Yeah.